and induced demand. So Devon Deming is a LA Metro manager for that. She joined Metro in 2016 to launch the student UPass program, which is an unlimited transit pass that works not just for Metro, but a whole bunch of participating agencies for university students. And that has been so successful. She's now spearheading an effort to bring that same kind of seamless transit to K-14. That's kindergarten all the way through community college. And then the UPass, helps students in college. And that means that children will grow up using transit regardless of their parents' ability to pay. And this is a benefit to the children, and it's a benefit to the parents, and it's a benefit to our communities and our planet. So without further ado, Devon Deming.
Thank you very much, Grace. Let me share my screen. I'm really excited to be here with you tonight. This program has been phenomenally successful, so I'm excited to share more about it with you. See, now Zoom is not being nice to me. Hilarious. Give me 1 second. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Do you want me to?
No, it just has to find itself. It's doing a weird thing. When you share, it doesn't always give you the window. There it is. All right, good. It doesn't always give you the windows you need to see to share. All right, here we go. I apologize for that. Let's get it up in presentation view. So I'm Devon. My contact information is on here if you have any follow-up questions after the presentation. Really excited to be here talking about this program. Grace and I were talking as we were getting ready, and we were talking about how we were both youth who rode transit. In our generation, that was kind of just an assumed thing. Everybody rode transit. We rode transit to after-school activities. We rode in groups. And somehow that's changed over the years. But during the pandemic, Metro actually created this new group, the Fareless System Task Force. You might have heard something about that in the news. There was a lot of talk about whether Metro was going to be able to continue to offer free rides after the pandemic. We studied that for 9 months and found that no, we can't, because we will be bankrupt if we do that. But we did want to start offering more affordable transit to certain groups of people that it could really benefit. And so students are our very first group that we started with. They're phase 1 of our Fareless System initiative. And there are a lot of really good reasons, really important reasons why we're starting with students. First of all, we know how many students in LA County are low income, almost 70%. And this program benefits their families. As Grace was saying, the parents don't have to pay for these passes. They're free to the students. So this almost 70% of students in LA County will benefit by getting the free transportation, which will help all of the low income families that are participating, and actually can save families even up to or even more than $300 per student per year in their family. So I'll talk a little bit more about that too. We also know we have a lot of health issues in LA County related to how much we love to drive and our lack of activity, and that is definitely hitting our younger generation. We're seeing that show up even in junior high and elementary school. So one of the ideas behind this is really getting students out in fresh air, walking to buses and trains, biking, taking bike share or using their personal bikes, even scooters, but just really getting out and exploring the transportation that's available to them. In regards to the income levels, we know If you look at the bottom bullet on that slide, we know that students receiving free transit passes in LA County specifically, because we've studied this, have up to 27% higher graduation rates. And if we can get students graduating from high school, community college, a 2-year AA degree increases income potential by 47%. And yet we only have about 30% of our community college students in California who even graduate. And those numbers are even lower for our minority communities and our low-income communities. So really giving students this pass isn't just about a ride somewhere. It's much more than that. Our goals for this program are beyond even just increasing student ridership. Yes, that's important to us. We're a transit agency, but also improving student health by creating this more active lifestyle, and definitely improving student success. And doing all of that by building on some very successful programs that we already had established. Grace mentioned the UPass program, which we launched in 2016 as a program specifically for college students. I actually came to Metro to launch that program. It was the first program that, the first kind of pass type where we changed from charging a time-based pass, so that's like a monthly pass or an annual pass. We changed it to being based just on the number of boardings that students use. So for instance, El Camino College is still participating in that program. The students in that program get their transit passes, and then the college pays 75 cents per boarding for the boardings that the students use during the semester. So that program still exists. Some of the colleges subsidize the full cost of the program for their students. Some subsidize it partially. It varies from college to college. But in continuing to roll out these student programs, we wanted to do even more. So we looked at that. How do we build on the cost sharing partnerships? How do we expand to include K-12 districts? How do we include more transit agencies and really create a regional student pass? Because there are a lot of transit agencies in Southern California. I mean, just in the South Bay area, right? We have Torrance Transit, we have G-Trans, Gardena, we have Beach Cities Transit. Not too far north of you, we have Culver City Bus and Santa Monica Bus, Big Blue Bus. So there's a lot of transit agencies in our region. And so typically with a regular student reduced fare pass, students were having to choose one transit agency that was their primary transit agency. And then, primarily, we really want to make sure that students have this skill, that they're growing up learning how to ride transit, how to get around, how to read. Not a lot of people use transit maps anymore, but they learning how to read the transit map. Most people now use apps similar to GPS. An app can tell you exactly how far to ride, how many stops. It'll even put an alarm on your phone 2 stops before it's time to get off. Your phone will vibrate and tell you, get ready to get off the bus. It'll tell you where to transfer, where to walk. It's almost just like GPS for your car, except you're traveling on transit. So that has made it much, much easier to navigate the transit systems. And really in giving students this skill at this time in their lives, we know it's something that they'll have as a lifelong tool that they can always fall back on. So that's really important as well. And then just to tie this into things that are really important for your organization specifically, I went and looked at, some of the policy documents that you have posted. Grace was kind enough to share with me. And you have a lot of initiatives that are related to this program and what this program can accomplish. And so I've listed some of those out here, everything from reducing vehicle miles and solo trips to expanding transit access to more people. And actually, the more students who are riding transit, the more transit service we will actually be able to start providing. This is a way, which I'll talk about, for some of the transportation costs to be covered by the state, by local government agencies, by school districts, by transit agencies, and really promoting clean, sustainable, low carbon economy, right? Reducing vehicle trips. Also promoting solutions that ease climate-related hardships. All of our low-income families that qualify this are now able to travel in a clean, way. And what I talked about in terms of increasing graduation rates, and then those graduation rates creating a higher income level, that contributes to preventing poverty, reducing poverty, and increasing access to transportation for people all over LA County. And then, of course, the increased educational opportunity for disadvantaged groups. It's really an increased educational opportunity for everyone, but maybe specifically benefits a disadvantaged group because they need more help. And having transit available at no cost is extremely beneficial. So I'll talk about some of that feedback we've gotten as well. So here are all of our transit agency partners. You can see right now we have 14, and we're continuing to add additional transit agencies to that. We do actually have Linwood Trolley also, so that's 15, in addition to all of Metro's regular bus and rail service, and our express buses actually. So the J Line, Grace and I were talking about the J Line from the Harbor Gateway Transit Center that goes downtown and to San Pedro. That's covered. Normally, if you ride that line, you have to pay an additional fee for a long distance express bus, but under this program, it's covered. And local service on all of these transit agencies that are listed is included, and students do not have to pay when they ride. They just tap their tap card on the fare box, and then they can ride without having to pay fare. So I do want to touch on our student reduced fare program, which is our older program, just so that you really understand how much the new program improves things for everyone, for school districts, for administrators, for students. So the regular student reduced fare program is a program that students can still apply to if their school's not participating in the GoPass program. This program still exists. So they would apply either online or in person, or they can download a paper application and mail it in. The application is like a double-sided, so 2 pages. It requires proof of enrollment from the school. So that's either, a registration report of some kind or a letter from the school. And then once that application is approved, this orange card is mailed to the student. So the card is what tells the system this person is eligible for a lower fare, right? The actual card itself is the reduced fare card. So the student rate is significantly lower than the regular rate. So these fares are Metro fares specifically. So regular fare on Metro is $1.75 per ride. That includes 2 hours of transfers in the same direction. A student fare is 75 cents per ride. So automatically they're saving $1 per ride. And then we cap that cost at $6 per week. So we recently made a really, really big change to our service on Metro, not our service, but how people pay for fare. And what that is we did away with monthly passes, which is crazy sounding to anyone who grew up riding transit like me, or probably Grace or anyone else. We're so used to having our monthly pass every month for our whole lives. It sounds very strange that we no longer offer monthly passes. But the reason that we did that is because in order to benefit from a monthly pass, you have to pay the whole cost up front, regardless of how many times you ride. So it could turn out to not be cost beneficial for you if you don't ride enough times. So for instance, the student pass used to be $24 per month. So a student would have to pay that up front. And the cash rate used to be $1 per ride. So if they didn't ride 24 times a month, then they were actually losing money on it. In this method, the riders actually get the discount earlier, right? So instead of having to pay that $24 up front, we've actually reduced the per ride cost from $1 down to 75 cents and capped it at $6 a week. So 75 cents times 8 rides is $6. If a student rides more than 8 times per week, the rest of their rides are free. So that we're really moving the monthly pass discount, we're moving it up front, right? We're really allowing people to just pay the cash rate until they hit that cap, and then all the rest of the rides beyond that are free. So they're never paying more than what the cost of a monthly pass was, but they're actually getting the discount sooner. So hopefully that makes sense. And the $6 per week is 2/3 off the full price of $18 per week. And yet that adds up to $312 per year. So even though it's a significant discount, it is still a cost, and $312 per year is not affordable for all families. The fare capping also is only good on Metro, so other transit agencies have not implemented fare capping yet. So if a student is riding multiple transit agencies, their cost could actually be more than $6 a week. And then that card needs to be reloaded every time they need additional stored value on that card. So you can see there's like a lot of different steps. Administratively, it's a little more difficult, and cost-wise, $300 a year could add up. So what we did, hopefully you can see this. I know it's a little small, but we looked at what students are paying now, that $300 a year, and we said, okay, how many students do we have riding? What would that look like if instead of paying $300 for that student who's riding, school districts could spread that amount out over every student in the district? What would that look like? And the reason that we could estimate that is because schools are required to pay for passes for their homeless students under a law called the McKinney-Vento Act. So if they have homeless students, and a lot of times also they're covering the cost for foster youth, special education, juvenile court transition, a lot of different programs that they were already buying transit passes for. So we looked at, a variety of school districts and looked to see how many transit passes they were purchasing, what that cost was, and then what it looked like if we spread that same amount of money out over every student in their district. So they're not spending more money. Our goal was to have them spend the same amount of money, but have them cover every student. So for equity purposes, everyone would be eligible for the transit pass without costing the schools a lot of money. So that worked out to $7 per student per year for all enrolled students in the district. So you compare that $6 a week versus $7 a year. But the $7 per year rate requires that the district covers all students in the district. I get this question a lot, like, well, can I just cover my high school students? Well, can I just cover the students that ride? You can, but then they would be covered under this reduced fare program, right? And pay the lesser rate, which still adds up to $312 per year. The $7 per year rate is so low because you're covering every student in the district, right? So we tried to make it the equivalent of covering that smaller group of students. I am going to get to your question in a minute. I see there's a question in the chat. Let me just finish going through this page and then I will get to your question. So that $7 is a flat rate. It's based on the previous year's enrollment. So that's why in the example I included here, I'm listing the 22-23 enrollment. The reason we do that is because those rates are already set. So it's there, we can pull those reports from the California Department of Education. That's where I got these numbers from. And it's just a flat rate. So what the school pays is not based on the number of passes they distribute, not based on the number of passes that are registered, not based on the number of rides their students take. It's just a flat rate calculated based on their previous year's enrollment. But it covers everything. So it covers all of the TAP cards, which are normally a $2 cost, right? It also covers extra TAP cards because students lose lots of TAP cards. So it covers additional TAP cards for the lost card replacements. And then it also covers unlimited rides on all of Metro's bus and rail service and all of the local service on all the participating transit agencies that were on the previous slide. So instead of getting one transit agency or having to pick a home transit agency to buy a student pass on, they get all of those transit agencies. So there's no requirements for income. There's no restrictions as to when or how those boardings can be used. They're truly unlimited. So for instance, in New York City, New York says, yeah, we let students ride free to school. Well, what they mean by that is they can ride free directly before school. They can ride free directly after school. But outside of those before and after school hours, they have to pay a fare. They also cap their number of free rides to 3 rides per day. This doesn't really make sense to me because if you had a transfer going one direction, you'd have it going the other direction. So you'd think it would at least be 4 rides a day, but it's 3 rides a day. But we decided that no, if it was going to be an unlimited use program, we wanted it to be truly unlimited. So students can ride any time of day, any day of the week. They can ride holidays, they can ride weekends, they can ride during school breaks. If there are schools participating over the summer, they get rides all summer long. So it really is truly unlimited. And then the other thing is the California Department of Education has a program called Home to School Transportation Reimbursement, which covers up to 60% of any transportation program that a school district is offering. So traditionally, school districts use that to cover like yellow school buses, or there are some services that are similar to Uber and Lyft that schools use for these students that they're required to provide transportation for, that are on-demand services. Like there's one called Hop Skip Drive. And that is, similar to an Uber or Lyft service, but it's specific to the schools because the drivers have been vetted, to be able to, they've been fingerprinted and everything to be able to specifically transport students. So any kind of those transportation programs are covered under the Home to School Reimbursement Program. Well, last year, the state added transit programs to that list. So now the schools can also request reimbursement for transit programs. And all that requires is that the school district goes to their board by April 1st each year with a transportation plan. So in most cases, school districts are already doing these annual transportation plans. All they have to do to qualify for the reimbursement is add the GoPass program to their transportation plan, get that approved by their board, submit it to the state, and then they get the up to 60% reimbursement. So that's really helpful in terms of the cost of the program. If you factor that in, then after the 60% reimbursement, the net cost of the program is only $2.80 per student per year. So that brings the cost way down. So you can see in the example I used, I pulled actual numbers from Redondo Beach Unified. They are not participating in the GoPass program yet. So I just want to say that. I'm just using this as an example. Last school year, they had 9,541 students enrolled. So at $2.80, and again, that's the net cost after the state reimbursement. The cost for the program for them would be $26,715, basically almost $27,000 a year. Covers the whole school year, covers every student in the district. So that cost is the equivalent of 124 students riding transit from now, just for the period that's left in the current school year, the 9 months that are left in the current school year. If students were riding at that $6 a week rate, then it would be about $216, right? So that's 1.3% of the students. So for the cost of providing transit passes for 1% of the students, the district can cover every student in the district and not have to worry about, does a student qualify because they're low income or not? And so as an example, Torrance Unified, they recently launched this program. Torrance was very concerned because they didn't feel like they had enough students riding transit, enough students to justify the expense, right? So they did a survey of all the parents in the district. They sent it out over the summer and they asked the parents, if we offer this program, will your students use it? And they got an overwhelming yes response, and they decided to join the program. So they joined August 24th. So it's been like 6 weeks since they joined the program. And in that time, they have 1,751 students who've registered their cards and are riding. That's 8% of their students. So that might sound like a small number, but you have to remember that average transit ridership in LA County is about 6%. So in 6 weeks, they're already riding higher than the average transit ridership in LA County. And the cost, if you look at the example of Redondo Beach, is essentially about the cost of paying for 1% of your students to ride on a monthly pass, but now they have unlimited use of not just one transit agency, but 15 transit agencies. It's meant also to be an umbrella program, so it covers not just the McKinney-Vento students, the homeless and foster youth. anything that a school district may have been buying passes for attendance improvement, because if they get a student to go to class one additional day, they get like $68 a day for that student to attend class one day. So the investment, a lot of school districts were actually already making the investment in attendance improvement programs, because if they could get students to come to school one additional day, it paid for the cost of the monthly pass, right? So that is also an opportunity for school districts to increase the revenue that they're getting from the state based on attendance. So really, this program has the opportunity to pay for itself in several ways, right? One, they get this California home to school transportation reimbursement, covers 60% of the cost. If they can boost their attendance from use of these passes, they're going to very easily cover the other 40% of the cost. And so that's really kind of the win-win-win that we were going for, right? To be able to let students ride without restrictions, to be able to have it offered to the school districts at a very low cost, and for the school districts hopefully to be able to recover that cost for these other, through these other programs. All right, I'm going to pause and check the question in the chat for you. Brianna, thank you. Would a GoPass for Redondo Beach includes free ride on Beach Cities Transit? So this is an interesting question that Grace and I actually met over this question. So the answer right now is no, because Beach Cities Transit does not yet participate in the GoPass program. So that is something that we're working on, and that's something that we would love for you to talk to your elected officials in Redondo Beach about, or talk to the city about, because it would be very easy for Redondo, not Redondo Transit, Beach Cities Transit, but under Redondo Beach. It would be very easy for Beach Cities Transit to participate in the program, and they would very likely actually make money on the program because they're already subsidizing the cost of transit passes for students in their city. So a regular non-area student transit pass on their service is $20 a month, but a student transit pass on their service is only $8 a month. So they're already covering the cost of that difference. And under the GoPass program, the way that the transit agencies are reimbursed for their participation is on a district by district basis. So we take the amount of the cost sharing that the school has to pay into the program, like, these numbers for Redondo Beach, except we take it at the $7 because that's what the school is actually paying, the $7, and then they're getting the reimbursement to cover that other portion, right? So we would calculate that at $7 times, let's call it 10,000 students. So that's $70,000. So we divide that money up based on what transit agencies those students are using. So it's highly likely that the local, and we set it up this way on purpose, very intentionally. It's a lot of work on the back end crunching these numbers, but it's worth it because what it does is it connects the local transit agency to the local school district, right? So if Redondo Beach Unified is paying $70,000 into this program, 60% of that covered by the state, the reimbursement that's being shared among the transit agencies is going to go primarily to Beach Cities Transit in that case, because the majority of those students' rides are going to be on Beach Cities Transit. So Beach Cities Transit actually has the ability to recover a significant portion of their costs, and or because they're already subsidizing the cost of transit passes, they may actually be able to increase the amount of funding they're getting for these programs. Therese, I see you're saying what I love most about this program is that young people get used to riding transit and will most likely continue throughout their lifetime. Exactly. That's exactly one of the things that we were talking about. Brianna, I see your hand. Did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, if I may. So if we are interested in kind of helping Redondo Beach Unified adopt this program, would this be a decision made on both like the school district school board level and also city council? And then is this something that like residents reach out for them to make, or can we have like Metro and your program reach out to these agencies?
I have actually had meetings several meetings with Beach Cities Transit and meetings with some of the local school districts. So I've had meetings with Redondo and Hermosa and El Segundo. Mostly what the school districts say is that it doesn't make sense for them to join the, well, two things. It doesn't make sense for them to join the program if Beach Cities Transit isn't participating. Exactly what you said. Most of the students ride Beach Cities Transit, right? So that makes perfect sense. And Beach Cities hasn't wanted to join the program. They weren't charging fare for a while. Now I think they're waiting to see if it becomes a permanent program. We are planning on going to our board in the spring, you know, in like March, maybe 2024, to get approval to make this a permanent program. We are in, you can see on the screen, we're in pilot year 3. And initially it was 2 years. Now we've added a 3rd year. So part of it is convincing, I think the larger part of it right now is convincing Beach Cities Transit and the city that it's a program that would benefit them, because the school districts don't necessarily want to join the program if it doesn't include Beach Cities, which I totally understand. And that goes back to the reason that we set it up so that the local transit agency and the local school districts mutually benefit each other by participating in the program.
For sure. Yeah, it's helpful to draw that connection. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. All right. Are there other questions while I'm stopped here on this screen with a lot of information on it?
After the presentation, we can have a mini meeting about strategizing how we're going to lobby our elected officials to direct Beach Cities Transit to join. I've already met with my city council member, but we should probably follow it up with letters to the editor, letters and PTA newsletters, that sort of thing.
Excellent. Okay, so moving on back. There we go. I just want to talk about logistically also how this program is different from the reduced fare cards that students can get on their own. And primarily that's because we have done everything to make this program really, really easy for the school districts. We're, you know, the students don't have to fill out applications ahead of time. Instead, they get activation codes and they activate their cards online, similar to if you buy a gift card, right? You need to activate it before you use it. Same idea. We provide the school districts with all the marketing materials. I'll show you one of the student videos that we made, which is really great. So we provide them with flyers. We provide them with social media graphics that are already sized correctly. We provide them with sample letterhead, messages to parents, etc. So we're really trying to make it so they don't have to spend their time and energy creating any of the materials. So they get these little brochures, which we call the passport, and I'm going to hold one up in my little window right here so you can see it. It has a little pocket in the front of it, and that tap card goes in the pocket, and then they put the eligibility code sticker right on top of it to hold everything in place. Our goal is really that when they give this to the student has everything that they need to register the card. And I don't have this slide in here, but in the inside of this, if you can see my little window, there's a QR code. So students can just click that on their phone and go to the website to register, or the website's listed. They also don't have to register on the website. If they don't want to do that for whatever reason, they can register with a live person at our customer care center. So they would just call that number and the person on the phone will walk them through the registration process and basically register the card on their behalf. We ask them to register the cards about an hour before their first use. That's primarily because when we first launched the program, they were trying to register as they were boarding the bus, which doesn't work. We need a little bit of time for the information to get processed. Usually it takes about 20-30 minutes. So we tell them an hour, hopefully we'll get a half an hour. And then once they do that online registration, they do need to tap their card anywhere on the system within 14 days. Because what happens is when they do the online registration or the over the phone registration, the pass actually gets put in the cloud and it's just sitting there waiting to get picked up essentially. So it doesn't physically move to the card until that card connects with a tap reader. That can be on any bus, right? The bus fare box. It can be at a rail station or at like the Harbor Gateway Transit Center. Actually, the new Redondo Beach Transit Center probably has a ticket vending machine now, and the new Torrance Transit Center, I believe they all have fare machines now. So you can tap on any of those fare machines or at any of our customer service locations also. There are a lot of places they can tap, and they don't even actually have to ride. If they have a bus that goes by their house and they just want to activate the card, they could just tap on the fare reader, even if they didn't want to ride, just to make sure that the pass loads onto their card. Once the pass is loaded onto their card, then it's good for the whole school year through June 30th, 2024. Grace, you have a question?
Yeah, can they just tap can they use the fare reload machine to check balance, and then that ties to just check balance will work, right?
Yes. Yeah, if they tap it on the ticket vending machine to check balance, that'll connect it to the system and the pass will upload to their card. Great question. So once they register, wait an hour, tap anywhere, including those ticket vending machines at any of the stations or customer centers, and we try to keep the registration process very streamlined. So the reduced fare application is 2 pages. It requires a whole lot of stuff, including, the address where the pass is going to be mailed to. Because we're distributing these through the schools and they're being, distributed to students on campus, we don't have to mail anything. So basically all we're collecting from the students, the required information is their name, their birth date, which helps us comply with online privacy regulations. And I'll talk about that in one second. But their name, their birth date, their school, they choose from a drop-down menu, and then the tap card number and the eligibility code. And then that's all of the required fields. We have some optional fields that are like ethnicity, household income, those kind of things, which they can select, prefer not to answer. That's fine. And then they can also opt in to receive communications from us or not. It's completely voluntary. There is a law called the Child Online Privacy and Protection Act. It's a federal law, and that requires that if a student is 13 and over, they're eligible to, or they're allowed to register for any kind of online service on any website on their own, as long as they're 13 or older. If they're under 13, they do require a parent or guardian's consent to register for something online. So if they are under 13, then a parent consent section will pop up and it asks for the parent's name and email address. And just like anything you'd register for online, it emails them a code. They put the code right back in on the same website, and then that completes the registration for the card. So it is a little different if the students are younger. I'm going to pause on the safety question for 1 second and let me finish talking about data, and then we'll get back to safety. So as I mentioned, this program this is the 3rd school year. The first school year wasn't a complete school year. We started in October 2021. So we're just about at 2 full years right now, and we're into our 3rd school year. So as of this point, we have over 110 K-12 districts, charter school networks, and some, individual charter schools and even some private schools participating in the program. It covers 8 community college districts, which is 16 colleges, 16 community colleges. I will note that that does not include El Camino College, which is still under the other program I was talking about, our older program for colleges, the UPass program. They have elected so far to stay in the UPass program, but they do have a program. It's just a different program than this. It does include all of the LA Community College colleges, campuses. So that includes Harbor College is in this program, the GoPass program. And in the partnering districts, there's over 1.3 million eligible students that can get these free passes, which is pretty awesome. In terms of participation, we have distributed over 2 million tap cards, which continually blows my mind. And 16% of those have been registered in the portal. So if you remember when we were talking about percentages for Torrance Unified, I mentioned the average usage, the average percentage of residents in LA County who ride transit is about 6%. It's very low here in LA County because we love our cars. So 16% is actually a really high number. It's 10% higher than the average usage of transit in LA County. And then what's more important to me is that of those cards that get registered, 84% of them are being actively used on the system. And that is a really high number. And that's not for 1 or 2 boardings per active card. That's 86 average boardings per active card. And that's, spread out over those 200 and almost 88,000 active riders. So right now we're just shy of 25 million boardings in this program in just about 2 years of offering the program. So it's been pretty phenomenal. The other part of it is other transit agencies have taken notice of what we're doing and have also started offering free student programs. And this one actually just launched this week. You can see October 9th was Monday. Metrolink got a grant to offer free student rides. I think that their program is going to run for a year, their grant program. And so all they're requiring students to do is download their app, the Metrolink app, register on the Metrolink app using their school email. I've had some communications with them this week about, if a school doesn't have regular email, there's ways that they can add schools to their system on the back end. And then each time they ride, they just activate the ticket for that ride in the app, and it's zero cost. So it's completely free for the students to ride. They are required if a conductor stops them, because Metrolink, they have conductors riding the trains old school, checking tickets. If a conductor asks for their ticket, they can show them the app, and they do need to present their student ID. But it's free. They can just download the app, register, ride Metrolink for free. So, and in case you're not familiar with it, Metrolink is the longer distance trains that run basically from Union Station in downtown LA, and they run out to different counties. So they look like that one in the picture. They run out to like Ventura County, Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange County. There's one that runs up to the top of North LA County and Antelope Valley, but they're basically longer distance trains. So they're not the regular light rail trains that our Metro passes cover. It's a different system. But then in addition to that, I keep having schools ask me, well, I have a student coming from this place, I have a student coming from that place. And it continually surprises me that when I do research, like, how do I get this student from Riverside into Pomona to go to school? And then I found out the Riverside bus is offering free rides to students now. Just this week, I found out that the Ventura bus is offering free rides to students now. And they all, have been following our lead. So now there are free student passes in Ventura, Orange County, Riverside, San Diego, and all over the state. It was really, these programs have really picked up statewide. So I'm really proud of what we're doing in terms of offering an example to other transit agencies of a program that is really valuable to students and is really working for the school districts. So some of the feedback that we get from the students, a lot of students tell us it's the reason why they're able to attend school. We have students even that are living in shelters whose families don't have cars. The only reason that they're able to get to school is because they have this free pass. A lot of the college students, like, it's the reason they're able to get to college. It's the reason that they attend college. And then what's really eye-opening, we did a survey of all the students and we asked them, what do you do with that money that you save from not having to buy a transit pass? And the number one answer to that is they buy food. A lot of students are actually having to choose between, do I ride the bus to school or do I eat lunch? Their families may only have $1 or $2 to give them during the day, and they really do have to make those decisions. And the second most popular answer to that question of how they spend the money that they save not having to pay for transit is on books and school supplies. So again, helping them with their school success. So we've seen in this program about 87% of the trips have been occurring during weekdays, and you can see the spikes in the before and after school hours. So we know the passes are being used to access school and are being used in those hours, but we encourage them to be used for any reason. Again, no restrictions. And then for Metro, students under 6 ride free. So you can see there's a little blip there on the 5-year-olds that are getting their cards ahead of time and getting ready to start riding. And then starting at 6 years old, they start utilizing the program. Of course, the younger students are riding with parents or guardians or older siblings. And then you can see the high school age is where things really take off for this program. Some of the demographic information we collect, the most important thing here to me is the highlighted stat there that about 89% of our students in this program are from low-income families. And what's really important about that as well is that we do offer programs that low-income families can qualify to get free or reduced fare. And so we promote those programs along with the GoPass program. That's one of the questions I get most often is, okay, my student rides free, but what about me as a parent or guardian? How do I ride? So they can qualify for the low income program. They get 90 days free when they first sign up for that program, and that's on Metro and all the participating transit agencies. And then they also get 20 free rides every month after that. So those rides, if they don't use them each month, they roll over and they just accumulate rides in their bank, so to speak. And then if they need to ride more than 20 times a month, they would also qualify for discounts on regional passes, etc. So